What happens when an alien lands on Earth with the intention of spreading happiness, but ends up making everything worse? A squid-like creature, eager to bring smiles to everyone, tries to cheer up a lonely schoolgirl, but his efforts only lead to chaos. Will he ever manage to set things right? The story begins with an alien named Happian, who leaves his home, the Happy Planet, on a mission to spread happiness throughout the universe. The first planet he discovers is Earth. Upon landing, he almost gets caught and has a rough start, as he doesn't have anything to eat. That's when he meets a sad girl named Shizuka, who saves him by offering him some bread. Grateful, he thanks her and introduces himself, but his full name is too long and too difficult to pronounce. He then tells Shizuka that she can call him whatever she likes. Since the alien resembles an octopus, Shizuka looks through an encyclopedia of sea creatures and decides to name him Takopi. Takopi is interested in Shizuka because she knows a lot about living things and seems like a kind person. Although Shizuka appears sad and downcast, all Takopi sees is a happy girl. To repay her kindness, Takopi brings out one of his happy gadgets called the flappy wings. He puts it on to demonstrate how it works, and then he begins to fly freely in the air. He tells Shizuka to try it out, but she shows no interest. Instead, she walks away, saying she has to buy a pencil board. She also tells Takopi that the bread she gave him was a leftover, and she promises to bring him more the next day since he likes it. Takopi tries once more to convince Shizuka to use the flappy wings, but she refuses, saying that flying through the air won't change anything. Takopi doesn't understand what she means, but concludes that since Earth has so many flying creatures, Shizuka must also have the ability to fly. The next day, Shizuka holds Takopi in her hands and hides in a stack of pipes, the same place where she first met him. It turns out she's hiding from a school bully named Marina. As the bullies walk past the area, they talk about how they broke Shizuka's board and beat her up. Hearing this, Takopi mistakenly thinks they're talking about something fun and asks Shizuka if they're discussing where to go for fun. But Shizuka sadly replies that it's not like that. As everyone walks away, Shizuka stands up to leave, but Takopi stops her to show her a new gadget. He pulls out a gadget called the Happy Camera and takes a selfie of the two of them. The camera then prints out a hard copy of the photo. But Shizuka doesn't seem excited and tells him they could just use a smartphone to take pictures instead. However, he tries to explain that the camera has a special function. Just as he is about to reveal what it does, Shizuka gets up again to leave because she needs to buy a new pencil board before the stationery store closes. Confused, Takopi asks why she wants to buy another pencil board. After Shizuka leaves, Takopi looks at the picture and realizes that she's very busy, but he's determined to make her happy the next day. On the third day, Takopi tries to show Shizuka a happy gadget she could use at events like surprise parties, but she doesn't show any interest. Every time Takopi shows a new gadget, Shizuka remains uninterested. This continues until the sixth day. That day, Shizuka tells Takopi she needs to leave early. When he asks why, she explains that she has to feed Chappie. Confused, Takopi asks who is Chappie. Shizuka then invites him to follow her back to her place. Upon arriving, Shizuka is greeted by Chappie, who turns out to be a dog. Chappie warmly welcomes Shizuka, and Takopi is surprised to see Shizuka smile for the first time. Chappie also plays with Takopi by gently grabbing him with its mouth and shaking him. Afterward, Shizuka feeds Chappie and invites Takopi into the house since her mother has already left for work. When Takopi asks where her mother went, Shizuka explains that her mother is an escort. Since Takopi isn't from Earth, he doesn't understand what that means. Shizuka tells him it means entering the shop together with a customer. Takopi assumes that Shizuka's mother must be very busy. Takopi then asks about Shizuka's father. In a sad tone, Shizuka reveals that she doesn't have a father. As expected, Takopi misunderstands and assumes that humans don't need fathers to have babies. Later that night, Shizuka shares that she and Chappie have been together since she was very little. In fact, Chappie is the only thing her father left for her. Shizuka admits that no matter how bad things get, she always feels happy when she's with Chappie. After hearing this, Takopi realizes that Shizuka did have a father after all. While taking a walk that night, Takopi tells Shizuka about the Happy Planet. He explains that she can't see it from Earth, but promises to take her there someday using his happy spaceship. However, Shizuka says she's not interested in magic. Takopi tries to explain that the spaceship isn't magic, it's a happy gadget. Even so, Shizuka says she doesn't want to go anywhere. Not to the Happy Planet, and not to her father's side. Takopi then remembers what Mother Happy told him. He can use happy gadgets to spread happiness throughout the universe. But he must never break the rules. He doesn't believe he's violated any rules yet, since Shizuka hasn't even agreed to use any of the gadgets he's offered. However, Takopi remains determined to make her smile. He tells Shizuka that one day he'll invite her to the Happy Planet, where she can play with all the happy gadgets she wants. Shizuka refuses again, saying she doesn't believe in magic. But when she hears how determined Takopi is to make her smile, she becomes happy, if only for a moment. Takopi tells her that he can't take her to the Happy Planet just yet, for some reason, but promises that someday he will. Then, Shizuka gently leans in and gives Takopi a kiss, making him blush with surprise. The following day, Shizuka meets Takopi at their usual spot. However, she looks bruised all over her face and body, and she's holding Chappie's collar in her hand. Shizuka tells Takopi that she had a fight with her friend. Once again, Takopi fails to read the mood and assumes that when humans fight, their faces change color. Wanting to help, Takopi brings out another happy gadget called the patch-up ribbon. He tells Shizuka that the ribbon can extend infinitely and can be used to fix things between friends. He explains that all she needs to do is tie one end of the ribbon to her pinky finger and the other to her friend's. No matter how far apart they are, the conflict will be resolved. Hearing this, Shizuka reaches out her hand for the first time and asks Takopi to lend her the patch-up ribbon. However, this goes against Takopi's rules. Happy gadgets must always be used in front of a Happyan and must never be handed over directly to anyone. But, driven by his desperation to make Shizuka happy, Takopi breaks the rule and gives her the ribbon. After she leaves, Takopi reassures himself that, because it's Shizuka, there's nothing to worry about. But as time passes and she doesn't return, he starts to grow anxious. As night falls, he decides to check on her and heads to her house, hoping to find out whether she made up with her friend. But when Takopi arrives, he is met with a devastating sight. Shizuka is hanging from the ceiling with the same ribbon he gave her. But as always, Takopi misunderstands the situation and assumes that Shizuka is simply playing with the ribbon. He rushes over to her and, standing on a box, shakes her gently and tells her to come down. Shizuka then falls to the ground. When Takopi moves closer, he realizes the horrific truth. Shizuka is no longer alive. Shocked, Takopi backs away, struggling to understand why this has happened. What makes it even worse is the realization that she used the happy gadget he gave her. In that moment, Takopi remembers the rule: never entrust a happy gadget to anyone. He blames himself, believing that everything happened because he broke that rule. With tears in his eyes, Takopi moves closer to Shizuka and quietly says how sorry he is. Takopi then returns to the park where he lives. When he gets there, he sees the photo he took with Shizuka using the happy camera. Back then, he had wanted to tell her something important about the device, but didn't. The happy camera has a special feature. It can store only one photo at a time. But if that photo is inserted back into the camera, it will rewind time to the exact moment the picture was taken. Without hesitation, Takopi feeds the photo into the camera and time begins to rewind. He is doing this not just to save Shizuka, but to understand why she did something so unthinkable. More than anything, Takopi wishes he could bring back her smile. Just then, everything rewinds to the moment Takopi takes the selfie. As usual, Shizuka stands up to leave, but this time, Takopi offers to follow her. He feels he must learn more about her. The next day, Takopi goes with Shizuka to school to better understand her daily life. At school, Marina is already picking on Shizuka, insulting her and calling her names. Thankfully, no one can see Takopi, as he's using a special happy gadget that disguises him as a flower. Marina even mocks the flower, calling it lame. Before class begins, Shizuka places Takopi at the front of the classroom so he can observe everything. The teacher enters, and the students greet her. She calls on Shizuka to answer a question, but Shizuka doesn't know the answer, as she has forgotten her notebook at home. Takopi sees how upset she is and thinks this small failure must be the reason that leads her to take that tragic step. So, he quickly uses the happy camera to rewind time again. This time, he tells Shizuka the correct answers before class starts. Everyone gets shocked when Shizuka gives the correct answers to the questions she's asked. Later, Takopi notices that Shizuka is also bullied for never finishing her lunch. As expected, he steps in again by secretly eating her meal for her. The bullies are stunned, thinking Shizuka finished the meal, and Marina becomes furious. Takopi continues helping Shizuka at school by countering all of Marina's bullying. Marina becomes increasingly angry, and at one point, she grabs Shizuka's bag and throws it onto the roof. She doesn't expect Shizuka to retrieve it, but thankfully, Takopi is there to help. He finds the bag on the roof and returns it to Shizuka, leaving Marina furious. Trying to better understand the situation, Takopi asks Shizuka if she and Marina are in a fight, which might explain Marina's behavior. Shizuka confirms that they're not on good terms. The next day at school, a class bully tells Shizuka that Marina wants to talk to her and that she should meet her in the equipment storage room during lunch. Takopi sees this as a chance to resolve the conflict and encourages Shizuka to go, telling her that the key to fixing things is honest conversation. However, Shizuka is afraid to face Marina. She tells Takopi that he's only saying that because he's never really spoken to Marina himself. To help, Takopi pulls out a happy gadget called the transformation palette. He takes a strand of Shizuka's hair for DNA input, places it into the gadget, and after pressing a button, transforms into Shizuka. With this disguise, he goes off to find Marina and tries to talk to her on Shizuka's behalf. Takopi is happy about the whole situation, believing that no matter how serious things are, they can be solved by simply talking them through. But as soon as he approaches Marina, disguised as Shizuka, she slaps him across the face. Before he can say anything, she slaps him again. Marina then begins ranting about all the things she hates about Shizuka. She complains that Shizuka is suddenly good at homework and now even finishes her lunch. For the first time, Takopi begins to truly feel what Shizuka has been enduring. Marina lashes out physically, without any concern for the pain Shizuka feels. Takopi, still disguised as Shizuka, is overwhelmed by Marina's bullying, which hurts him so deeply that he starts to cry. When Marina finally turns to leave, thinking she's had enough, Takopi calls out to her and asks what has he ever done to her. That question pushes Marina over the edge. She spins around, grabs Takopi by the hair, and screams at him, calling her the daughter of a parasite who leeches off men. She says Shizuka has no right to speak to her because her mother stole her father. Consumed by anger, Marina pulls out a pen and prepares to attack. Just before she strikes, Takopi uses the happy camera. And once again, time rewinds instantly to the moment when the selfie is taken. But this time, Takopi is no longer his usual cheerful self. For the first time, he is experiencing real pain, both emotional and physical. Now, he is confused and struggling to understand why Marina is doing such terrible things to Shizuka. Just then, Takopi remembers Marina complaining about how Shizuka has started getting all the homework questions right. Without thinking twice, Takopi believes that he is the cause of Shizuka's problems. Everything continues as before, but this time, Shizuka decides to go meet Marina on her own. Takopi decides to meet with Marina in Shizuka's place instead of letting her go. However, after experiencing Marina's abuse, Takopi is now too scared to face her himself. He is so scared that he can't even take a step. In that moment, he finally realizes just how difficult things are for Shizuka. While crying in the restroom, something suddenly comes to Takopi's mind. He transforms into Shizuka and rushes out. He rushes to a teacher to call for help. Thanks to this small but brave action, he manages to prevent Shizuka from getting seriously hurt. She receives help just in time and ends up with only a bruise on her face. Later, one of her classmates, Azuma, suggests reporting Marina to the student council, but Shizuka refuses. He also suggests telling another teacher about everything that's been happening, but Shizuka insists that nothing she does will ever change anything, and then she leaves. Later that day, Shizuka and Takopi sit at their usual spot. Takopi is about to ask for forgiveness, but Shizuka stops him, saying that she's been saved because of his help. She has also realized that Takopi has been helping her behind her back. Shizuka then tells Takopi that Marina became hostile toward her when she found out that her father was going out with Shizuka's mother. Since then, Shizuka's life has taken a turn for the worse, and nothing has been enjoyable anymore. However, she admits that Takopi's presence in her life has made things a bit better. On the other hand, Takopi is not yet done with his mission. He plans to ensure that Shizuka never has a reason to consider doing something unthinkable again. Unknown to Shizuka, she is being watched by Marina. Marina is angry that she has failed to cause Shizuka pain over the last 10 days. When Marina gets home, she finds her mother in a bad mood. Her mother reveals that Marina's father went out to dinner with Shizuka's mother again. She then asks Marina why she didn't come home earlier, saying that her father yelled at her again, and we see the painful reality Marina has been enduring at home. Meanwhile, Shizuka finally gets a good night's sleep with Takopi while hugging Chappie. And that's the end of the video. Please comment and let me know if you want a recap of the next episode of this anime. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, goodbye.